Hello there, as usual, it's me, 21 years old Zach from Russia, who left Russia because of the war against Ukraine, and I finally came to the US. I know it's been a while since I've uploaded on YouTube, since I've made this fundraise. I kinda went away, but it was all for one reason, to finally make it here. And here I am. It's actually pretty hot outside, so I'm gonna put my cap on. So okay, let me tell you about my whole journey, about my last 1.5 months, through what I've been, about getting my student visa, about, well, firstly, how I appear to be here, where am I staying, what is this ocean behind me, this California? Maybe, who knows? Or maybe this is Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you about everything, about going to Serbia for a visa, about my last couple of days in Tbilisi, saying goodbye to my friends, packing my belongings. There is a helicopter. Wow. Gonna ride one of those one day. Well, firstly, I want to thank every one of you who made this whole thing possible, especially those who donated through GoFundMe to my education. If it's not you, I wouldn't be able to pay for my community college here in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach myself. So that's all happening just because of you, and thank you so much. You guys are the best. You actually donated way more than I expected and than I needed. So I had to stop my fundraiser, and I know some people told me, like, Zach, why did you stop this? You needed money for car, for transportation, for books and everything. Well, that's too much. I only fundraise money for college, education. If you guys feel like you want to help me out with something else, there are links in the description below. You're free to go, but fundraiser was stopped once the goal was achieved. Officially, my tuition in this college is $8,836, and yeah, it's a little bit too much, but this is the cheapest option I could get in the US, believe me. Since I can stay for free with my aunt. Yes, I have my American aunt living here. I mean, she's Russian, born and raised in Russia, but immigrated to the US a long time ago. I wouldn't say we are really close relatives, just because I've only seen her like 2 times in my life before I came here. And one of them was during 2021 when I got to the US as an exchange student. And I'm just really lucky to have her, actually. Not many Russians who are fleeing the war right now, especially those who are in Georgia and in Kazakhstan, or in Serbia, they have the option to leave to the US and to actually stay for free with their relatives. I'm just, I guess, a lucky person. I won lottery, so that's it. Okay, it's too hot just to sit here, so let's take a small walk. So I'm gonna take a small walk down this Atlantic Ocean beach and tell you a story about how I was going to Serbia to get a visa. Why did I go to Serbia to get a visa? That's a good question, because since 2021, American embassies in Russia are closed. So you cannot get a visa in Russia unless it's a diplomatic or something like humanitarian visas. So if you are Russian, living in Russia actually, even in my case, I mean living abroad, you have to go either to Serbia or to Armenia, to Kazakhstan, to Mongolia, and I think Indonesia. And also the countries inside of the Schengen zone. But it's just a different story, because you firstly has to get a visa to a Schengen zone, and it's not possible to do it for me since I was outside of Russia, and in Georgia I cannot apply without residency. And as I guess some of you heard, Russians get rejected when it's issuing the permanent residency in Georgia, Tbilisi, and not only Tbilisi, Batumi maybe. Yeah, where their Russian leaves. So I had to go to Serbia. It was pretty expensive, actually, even though Georgia is quite close to Europe, but it's still pretty expensive to fly to Serbia. So I flew there, and it was fine. I mean, it was pretty expensive, but there was no other option.
After having like less than 2 hours of sleep in 28 hours maybe, looking really bad.
What are my impressions on Serbia? Well, unfortunately, I would say that all of the people I've spoken to in Serbia are very Z. They were really supportive of Russia, and I would say not even supportive of Russia, but just anti-US, anti-West, anti-NATO. So they're gonna support anyone who will try to stand against NATO or West. So yeah, this is how it was. Interesting enough, in my first Airbnb where I was staying, not far from the American embassy, by the way, over there was a Russian guy. He also left Russia, and he was anti-war. He was about 50 years old, and I was a little bit surprised. He didn't know any English, he didn't know Serbian, he only knew Russian. So he came there and he was fixing refrigerators in one of the workshops over there, basically working in Serbia. And he said he left just because he has a son of my age, about 20 years old, and he just was looking for options to get his son out of Russia so he won't be conscripted, even though he himself can be conscripted. So that's kind of the story. I was surprised. I mean, we spoke a little bit of Russian over there, but not much. And he's trying to assimilate. He's learning Serbian language. In Serbian, I mean, many people would think that Serbian and Russian are really close, similar languages, but actually not. I understand only about 40% or 30% in the Serbian speech. Like, yeah, some words are pretty similar. For example, we say hello, здравствуйте, and they say zdravo. For example, we say добрый день and they say добрый dan. So it sounds a little bit the same, but some words are the same, not all of them. So I kind of struggled, and for the most part I used English as the language in Serbia. So yeah, I also got a couple of interesting conversations with random people. One of them was with a rain man, as I call him. I was just hiding from the rain in Belgrade, capital of Serbia, under some roof, and the guy just kind of got out of his podjezd, like entrance of his house, told me something in Serbian because I guess I look Slavic, and I was like, I'm sorry, I don't speak Serbian, I speak English. Well, he was like, oh, you know, people get weird when it's raining. I was like, yeah, I guess. And he started to ask, where are you from? I was like, Russia. He was like, oh, Russia. And he was like, Zelensky. I was like, no, Putin. He was like, no, not Putin, Zelensky. I was like, no. I mean, we didn't get into much debates, but this is just a random conversation with a random Serbian guy, and he was really pro-Russia, like showing that Zelensky is crazy and everything. So yeah, it was not really cool. Another person whom I've spoken to and who appears to be Z is a old lady, actually an American lady. So basically I was going to downtown from after I received my visa. I was going downtown from my Airbnb, and there was a lady staying just kind of like by highway. Told me something in Serbian. I'm again sorry, I don't speak Serbian. And she told me in a perfect American English, like, sorry, I cannot order a taxi. There is no taxi available on my app. Can you help me? So I helped her using actually a Russian Yandex, which works in Serbia, to order a taxi, and we were sharing a ride together. And she started to ask me where I'm from, of course, and we started to discuss. I told her I left Russia because of the war, and she asked me like, no, she didn't ask me, but she said, oh, I understand why you young Russians do not understand this war, because you don't want to fight yourself. That's what she said. And I said, well, that's one of the reasons, but not the main reason, because maybe invading the independent countries just because you feel like it is not the best idea, is not really right. I mean, I debated a little bit with her, but she said like, she was actually a Serbian who was born and raised in America, having a UK citizenship at the same time, because she's married to an English guy, and living in Serbia for some reason for a couple of years after COVID started. She was also like really into conspiracy theories about this coronavirus. Oh, and I remember like once we were passing downtown in Belgrade, she told me like, look, and over there was a destroyed building. She told me that was the Ministry of Defense of Belgrade when it was bombed in 1999, as far as I believe, or maybe 1998. And they still do not rebuild it, just because of kind of to show off, to show what NATO done to them. So she told me that whatever Russia does, we're gonna support it, just because this is the only alliance we can lean to as a small country of Serbia. So I didn't really debate with her much, but it was an interesting conversation in general. So yeah, that's kind of about my interaction with people in Serbia. They were pretty easy. But right now, let me tell you about the visa. So when I was receiving the visa, it was totally fine. Everything was okay, no problems. But I was really surprised since my visa officer, she asked me like, whom you want to be when you grow? Well, not when you grow up. I mean, I'm a grown up, 21 years old man. Come on. But she told me whom you want to be in your career once you finish your education. And I was telling her like, yeah, political science, journalism, maybe create my own media or work for Russian independent media. And she was like, something like Medusa, right? And I was like, wow, do you know Medusa? And Medusa is one of the biggest Russian independent medias, but I wouldn't expect like an American would know about Medusa, even though they have the website in English too, in Russian and English. So she knew about it. She was really into Russian politics. She understood what I meant. And I said to her like, yeah, we lack independent medias in Russia, so we need more. And she told me like, oh, well, that's so cool. And yeah, basically I kind of got lucky to get to exactly the person I needed. It was really great. And yeah, my visa was approved. I guess this was also quite a factor. Actually, let me show you how it looks like. Myrtle Beach is not the biggest place, but there are something about 1 million tourists coming to Myrtle Beach every year because of the ocean. So I'm going to continue my story. After my visa was done, I came back to Georgia. I had something about 2 weeks until I leave, and I have so many things to do. Well, mostly just some minor things, to fix my teeth before going to the US, because I know it's pretty expensive here, or to give away my belongings like tables or something like this, actually given to my friends, which you know from YouTube. Yeah, also just some minor issues.
I'm finally packing up my stuff, preparing to leave, enjoying one of the best views I've ever had, and maybe I will, it's gonna be the best view until the rest of my life for the apartment. Just look at those mountains. Look at this. Beautiful. Yes, I'm preparing. I've sold almost most of my electronics. I'm going to sell my monitor. The guy is just gonna come in a couple of hours, a Georgian guy. Also, I've sold my second monitor. I used to have two monitors, one for live chat and another one for streaming. So I've sold that one for a guy actually from Kherson, from Ukraine. He evacuated maybe a couple of months ago. Okay, I can show you a little bit of my apartment. This is how it looked like. This is my bedroom, some closets, also a balcony where you can sit outside, and if I would smoke, I would definitely smoke there, but I don't. I think you should recognize this background, because every single video of mine filmed in this apartment was actually with this background. Don't pay attention to the mess. It all goes, except that TV, into the bag. But for now, let me still show you my apartment. So this is kind of like the entrance, and this is a Soviet apartment, so I don't think it was rebuilt since like 1980s or something. And I'm pretty sure those clothes are literally twice older than me. Yeah, that's a small restroom, nothing really interesting. A small kitchen, like that. Don't pay attention to the mess. Yes, and also the second view, which is also really beautiful, and the small balcony over here, where you can actually, chill, rest, and everything. It's been a really busy couple of days since I had to prepare leaving to the US. I've packed all of my belongings, I finished all of my things, and even though here I only lived for 1.5 years in Georgia, but still, even after 1.5 years, I have a lot of things to sell, to give to my friends, to finish with banks, with other official papers, and it takes some time. It's not as easy as somebody would think. But still, I'm really happy, I'm really excited about my future trip to the US, and yeah. since I don't have my own vacuum cleaner to clean up the apartment, I was taking one of my friends once, and so this is how I'm going to that building too. Oh, hey kitty, kitty, kitty. Psst, psst, psst. And this is how I'm going to drop it off on the very blink of my leaving Tbilisi. Couldn't make it to sleep. Almost was waking up because really anxious about the upcoming trip. Not anxious, but I would say excited. Yeah, excited is the right word. Packed up, had to bring down my luggage from the 9th floor. It was pretty heavy. I'm already sweating. It's only the start of the trip. Really excited and a little bit nervous about the layover in the transfer. Since Russians flying through France, through Paris, they have to obtain transitional visas. However, if you have an American valid visa, you should be okay. But I guess some of the workers of the airport may not know about those rules. So I'm ready for some debates. Wish me luck.
I mean, it felt like an adult life, you know, even though I'm only 21, but I'm going through some things which most of the people are not going through at my age, especially like in the Western countries, in developed countries. So yeah, I've done my adult tasks there in Georgia, at Tbilisi, Sakartvelo, and actually I think I have a couple of videos from Sakartvelo, that's how people in Georgia call their own country, Sakartvelo. So I have a couple of videos from there. I think maybe I'm gonna make a vlog out of it, I don't know yet, but this is how it is. So let me tell you about my journey to the US, how it was, and what did I experience throughout the journey. It was pretty fun actually, because I mean it was fun, but at the same time I was really tired, because I think I haven't slept for like 60 hours during my trip. I had 2 layovers, one in Paris. In Paris, they actually have PlayStation 5s for free. In the freaking airport of Paris, you can play PS5. That's actually hella cool. And me as a 21 years old, used it of course, and had a really great layover. And then on my plane, I remember in Paris in my layover, I was standing in line waiting for boarding basically. And I hear somebody speaking Ukrainian not far from me. I turned around and there was a lady saying that she doesn't understand English. She only speaks Ukrainian and Russian. And I came along, was like, do you need any help? And eventually, yeah. So I was kind of like a translator for a Ukrainian lady going to the US. And she was a refugee from Vinnytsia. It's kind of like western part of Ukraine. And she knew Russian, but a little bit struggled with this. So I spoke Russian to her. I mean, we kind of get along together. We even sat together on the plane. We changed seats with one guy. He was really cool. Just offered us first to change seats because she couldn't even order herself food. She didn't understand what is chicken, what is vegetables, what is pasta, what is ice cream, what does it mean. She doesn't know English at all. So I was helping her out. Yeah, unfortunately we didn't get the context for each other after we got off the plane, because she was going through some hard problems at the customs, since she's a refugee and there are many papers to get to the US as a Ukrainian refugee. It's not that easy. So eventually she couldn't just make it like this and meet me at the luggage, for example, section. So we lost each other. But anyway, I feel glad that I helped a lady. We spoke about the war, of course. She was about 60 actually, and she has her daughter living in New York City, in New Jersey, and she was going to visit her and stay with her for a couple of years unless the war ends. And it was really just a really great experience of talking to Ukrainians and to a Ukrainian lady, not Ukrainians. I mean, she was offering her daughter and her husband to give me a ride from JFK to LaGuardia because I needed to make this layover to change airports. But I was thinking, nah, it's gonna be too much. Imagine not seeing your mother for like 2 years, and then once she comes, she's coming with a Russian guy, and who only speaks Russian, not Ukrainian, and is gonna, not gonna be the best picture ever. So yeah, that's about it. The trip was nice. I'm still surprised. I was flying with Delta, and that's so freaking stupid. Why would Delta give you ice cream on a plane? Like, Americans are going crazy for cold, with the ACs everywhere, with ice creams. I mean, I've ate it, no complaints, but it's just, it's cold on a plane. Why would you like to eat an ice cream when it's cold? That's kind of weird. So yeah, so I came here to the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Oh, no, wait. So I had this layover from JFK to LaGuardia, and I was so tired. And I decided not to pay for Uber, because Uber was like something $60 or $70. Too much, I think. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make it myself. It took me like 2.5 hours. So if you ever transferring from JFK to LaGuardia by public transport, my condolences, how do you say this? I'm sorry for you, basically. Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad, but I needed to go to the streets, I mean, I needed to change from metro to the bus. I needed to go to the street somewhere in Brooklyn, and it felt like a zombie land, if you know what I mean. And I didn't felt safe at all. Let me tell you that. So my first impression of going back to the US was a little bit broken by the streets of Brooklyn, but it's okay. I'm Russian. It's hard to get me scary, but Brooklyn got me for some time. So yeah. And then, well, no, it was okay. I was in LaGuardia. LaGuardia is a really beautiful airport, renovated recently. So I flew to Myrtle Beach, to the beautiful ocean, met my aunt. My aunt hugged me, and I forgot how does it feel to be hugged by a relative. I mean, my mom actually came to Belize, where I'm staying. She came here to visit half a year ago. Okay, people are waving over there, super friendly. Yeah, great. So that's what I like about the US. People are just friendly. In Russia, if something like this would happen, people would say like, get off, don't film me. Don't film me and my children. I mean, I guess people in the US also can do that sometimes. So yeah. So I came here, life is perfect. I got my driver's permit, but not the license. I need to wait half a year to pass the road test, and only after this I will be able to drive a car. And that's a really big issue for me, because I need to drive to a college, because I live something about 13 miles from college, and there is no public transport. So that's quite an issue, but I will solve it. It's easy. So yeah, it means like the Russian life is getting better. Thank you again, everyone who supported me throughout my journey. Those who participated in the fundraise for my college tuition. Just everyone for all of your messages, positive comments. It all keeps me alive. So yeah, I wish Ukraine will restore its territories. The war will end soon. Putin's gonna be jailed somewhere in Hague, and it's gonna be peace in the world. Because yeah, when I was going to the US for the first time in 2021, I felt like the world is getting better. It's becoming a better place. But I was wrong. Something bad really happened. So yeah. See ya. Thank you so much again.